Let's see what's going to happen. Top left-hand side, our red Terran player from Sidestorm Gaming. It's GuMiho going up against the teal Terran player to the bottom right-hand side. It's INnoVation. Half of the SE2 casters barely play. Well, I mean, not really nowadays. Like, you think about all the WCS casters, Todd, Roddy, Pig, Maynard, they all play the game. Nefanius plays the game. Most of the casters nowadays do indeed play the game. I mean, it's a weird one. Like, I feel as though if you cast enough, you can get away by keeping up with the meta and stuff. Like, you're never going to be like the top analytical commentator, but you can get away if you just cast enough and you actually pay attention to what you're casting. I think you can learn a lot from that, you know, because sure, you're not playing, and you're not actually like, you know, in that game, and you're not going to get the most analytical kind of sense, and you're not maybe actively learning. But if you try to actively learn while casting, I think you can still learn a lot, you know. It's the same as if you just watch enough. You're going to be able to learn enough to talk about the game. Sure, you're not going to be able to become Pig, and you're not going to be able to kind of come up with these godlike predictions or examples of what's going on, but you will be able to kind of still give some good analysis based on other games you've seen, as long as you have like the right mindset while watching / casting, as long as you have the right mindset as to how the game works in general, and as long as you just think about it a little bit and like put two and two together. Like, that's how, you know, my opinion at least, and that's why, you know, I feel as though myself, I actually learn more from the game casting it than playing it. Because if I go in to play the game right now, if I play 50 games, I can tell you that I've learned that my macro mechanics fucking suck. And, you know, maybe I can tell you a bit more about the exact, how crisp this timing should be from the Terran. But the reality is, all I really learned about is how much my macro mechanics suck and how this Zerg kills me with this attack. But that doesn't apply to pro level play. If I watch 50 games, I'm probably going to learn a lot more about the level of play I'm usually commentating, in the sense that I can see what builds are being used frequently, I can see what styles are used, I can see what sort of maneuvers players are using, what micro tricks are popular. I feel that's more useful than playing the game. So, you know, I'm never going to say like you can become the best analytical commentator without actually playing yourself, but I think if you played at some point in the past, then it really helps you to. I feel, yeah, like I said, I feel I've made my point. Sometimes I keep talking and I really don't need to, you know? Well, I do need to because I'm casting, but, you know what I'm saying. See? Did it again. What's up, Dino SC2 in the chat? How you doing with that Wardy hype? I feel like fewer workers benefit gas builds. Yeah, it's interesting. The thing with gas builds is that with fewer workers, you can get away with one gas, you can do a lot on fewer workers because you have that gas for longer before your tech comes up. So you can get away with just one gas for a while longer. On the other hand, it does mean that it's more committed as well. Like, if you go double gas, you're really going to be on one base for a lot longer than the player who goes for the gas, you know, the one gas expand into a second gas. So I feel like TvT and mirror matchups in general is where we start to see the biggest difference between Zerg, between 6 and 12 workers. And again, I don't know why I said Zerg. But yeah, I think this is the mirror matchups are really which are some of the ones which are affected the most. We'll see how this goes. So far, we've seen what is kind of arguably an interesting standard opening in a way, in the sense that it's just going to be an expansion versus a more aggressive play. We see this in 12 worker starts all the time. Although that said, we'll see how much GuMiho is affected by taking a later expansion because of the fact that it will be much later compared, you know, considering the fact of just the way this is going to go. We'll see what happens. It's interesting. I like the TvTs. I feel as though it opens a lot of possibilities as to how this can play out. We saw some fun TvTs between INnoVation and Beyond yesterday in Group B of this competition, so yeah, fun to see what else we can find over here as we see this Hellion just patrol to the side. Wouldn't mind Will Burrow on top of this ramp, and well, CC is starting to build up for GuMiho as well, so he's not that far behind on it. Let's see what his first Banshee can get done. He's only one worker behind right now. By the time that SCC finishes, he should be like 4 to 5 workers behind. 3 to 4, 4 to 5. 3 to 5, I guess, is an easy way to say that. And by the time he's a few workers behind, it is important, therefore, that he's done some damage with this Banshee. Obviously, there is the fact that INnoVation gets more mules out of his orbital being up a little bit earlier as well, so that's worth keeping in mind too. As we see this Banshee coming over, and well, there we go. INnoVation sees exactly what's coming his way. Engineering base just about to finish. He doesn't have a scan yet, though. There's going to be a little bit of time where GuMiho is going to be able to get quite some damage done. And INnoVation actually just decides to go across the map with this medevac, realizing, well, if I don't have any detection, there's no point to bring my units back because I've got, you know, a Viking on the way up and other units which will be able to deal with this Banshee eventually. Single Hellion on the low ground, though, that's something he could have dealt with, and that is now starting to pick off workers as well. So INnoVation really taking damage here, and GuMiho getting away with this gas opening. Double gas paying off for him so far. I mean, okay, the turret's beginning to finish up here, but again, a lot of these SCVs going low, and the Hellion taking a long time to be cleaned up, but it does kite away, and it can get one more worker, but he doesn't turn around and fight. Meanwhile, INnoVation arrives on the natural expansion of GuMiho. What will he really do here, though? Kills one SCV, maybe pushes the orbital back into the main. GuMiho actually has a tank and marines of his own, though, so he's not in too much of an issue to push this away. In fact, I feel as though he's kind of okay. Whoa, the siege tank, though, gets hit by the Widow Mine. This changes everything for Medevac here. He can continue to fight. His marines are dropping, and INnoVation will continue to shake this trade. He wants to get that siege tank, I think, especially, and he will get it there. Picks up, gets away. That Widow Mine changing this game for now, because that was damage which INnoVation shouldn't really have picked up with this drop, but it is damage he picks up nonetheless. INnoVation, 3 workers down, slightly behind in army supply as well. In general, this is still looking good for GuMiho despite losing the tank. Imagine how good this looks if he doesn't walk into that Widow Mine. Imagine him being 2 tanks right now against what? INnoVation has a Cyclone at home, and that's about it. His first tank is only just starting to build. Looking good for GuMiho, and we'll see if he wants to turn this into something aggressive. He still has Banshees, by the way, moving around, forcing scans. He's got this one here as well. And this is really, really nice so far. Just relocating these Banshees, getting more and more done with them, continue to pick away at INnoVation's economy early in this game, and just continue to put himself into an advantage. And we see a couple more workers going down. He just wants to try and stay away, though, from that reach of the missile turret to force another scan. This Banshee is actually heading back home. INnoVation. Oh, sorry, that's INnoVation's Banshee. I was so confused there for a moment. I was going to say, like, why is that Banshee backing away? It's full health. I thought it was just going to loop around, but it is INnoVation's. My apologies. His cloak is about to finish up, as GuMiho will now come in towards the main base. Well, what's GuMiho got? He is starting to build a missile turret. Let's see if INnoVation can return some fire here and even up that worker count, which has been favouring GuMiho just slightly here in the last few moments. You can see a couple of marines going down still for INnoVation. But now he arrives on the other side of the map, and he'll get 1 worker, 2 workers at least, I guess, before the missile turret comes into play. Missed targets, though. That makes the 1 worker turn into 2 workers just turn into 1 for a couple more moments. Yeah, the Banshee's not doing a lot across the map. This Banshee of GuMiho, though, really is doing a lot. Look at this damage, man. This is insane. So many kills. 10 kill Banshee. And over here, the Banshee of INnoVation has fallen. INnoVation is not in a great spot. He's continuing to drop scans to chase away Banshees, but he continues to drop scans and then end up having to scan yet again. This Banshee will actually kill an SCV. He's actually going to suicide it. I thought he could have maybe gone away there, but he kills the SCV, kills 2 more. A 12-kill Banshee goes down. As we see INnoVation arriving with another Banshee across the map. A little bit of micro here will pick off a few of these Marines. And again, INnoVation looking for any sort of opening to just be able to get damage done at this point. As we see these 2 Vikings coming forwards, INnoVation has to turn around. Cannot really commit into this position for too long. And INnoVation, for this Banshee up top, will just back away. Another couple of barracks on the way up here currently for INnoVation. Starport will land, a reactor starts to come on out, and a 3rd CC coming up for INnoVation as well. GG. You know, I don't think so. I don't think this is GG. Let's back and maybe not get too tilted. To the bottom right hand side, the red Terran player from Storm Gaming. It is going to be GuMiho. Top left hand side, our blue Terran player is INnoVation. I mean, we see GGs like that a lot. It's one of those games where, if this was the GSL, you wouldn't GG out at that point. You'd stay in it for a little while longer. But in an online cup like this, sometimes, you know, they just prefer to kind of jump out, get going again, into the next game. And especially when these guys are going to play each other in the GSL in a few days' time, I imagine INnoVation might not want to kind of give away too much about his play style, his movements to get back into a game like that. Because that could actually, it is one of those weird ones where it really can have quite an interesting effect, I suppose. Now this is a build which is not possible with a 12-worker start. The 9-9-9. 9 depot, 9 racks, and soon to be 9 gas to set this up and be a very quick proxy Reaper into the main base of INnoVation. Let's see what his defense will be like, as he will set up a gas into Rax. So gas first for him is a good one, because generally the gas first builds will make you a little bit safer against any sort of proxy play, because your factory will be able to come up nice and quickly. And there's that, of course, gas finished. SCV production resumes from GuMiho. Super fast Reaper going to be popping out here in just a few moments. Let's see what damage he can get done. Obviously this Reaper is going to be basically popping out just after the racks of INnoVation finishes. Just a few gas to go. There it is, starting up. So INnoVation will have about 15 seconds after his racks finishes before this Reaper hits. Let's see how much GuMiho can get done here in game 2 of this series. Workers still mining away on this gas on the side. Second building structure coming up now, and it is straight into a factory. A Marine for INnoVation. I kind of like it. The Marine will come out quickly. It's not going to be as microable as a Reaper though. Depot coming over to the side. Reaper hops up, and INnoVation knows about it now. So let's see what his response is going to be. I mean, this hits so early with this kind of build order that you will have so much time before the SCV, before the factory is finished, etc. And that's kind of one of the differences. Like if you proxy off of a 12 worker start, by the time your Reaper comes out, your opponent does have a unit as well, generally. It's the fact that you have multiple racks that becomes an issue. This is very different because it's the fact that you have the first Reaper so quick, you can do so much off of one rack. Now, of course, GuMiho's factory will be much later, as we see the second Reaper popping up. And one of the differences right now is that GuMiho is a bit behind on the mule as well initially. His SCV is taking a lot of damage, though. We're going to see another Marine about to pop. Hellion on the way. Once the Hellion comes out, this is much more easily held than like Proxy 2 or Proxy 3 Racks Reaper, just because the Reaper count is much lower for a lot longer here. So the Hellion popping out really becomes engageable into these Reapers, and that does change quite a lot of this. So again, like now the damage is done, GuMiho comes out 3 workers ahead. But again, INnoVation will have 2 Hellions on the map before GuMiho can even really start building anything out of a factory. So that's worth keeping in mind here, and it is something that will come into play potentially. Tech Lab on the barracks, as we do just see Fed Reaper on the way, but maybe not going to do anything just yet. 2 Reapers, 2 Hellions, sorry, in the Marine just sat in the main base. Still the 3 Reapers thinking about what they want to do. The racks will give high ground vision here, allow the Reapers to hop up and get rid of this Marine potentially. Hellions will come in and start to fight this. Grenade comes down. INnoVation backs away. Lost that Reaper, Marine is sure, but at the same time he had a nice pullback on the Hellions, so doesn't lose too much with those. Let's GuMiho moving across the map now with another Hellion. Barracks going to come on over, going to land once again. Reaper's still just positioned to the left hand side. Now a Hellion coming across with GuMiho as well. He's just going to be seeing the few Hellions of INnoVation. I mean, 3 Hellions against the 3 Reapers and a Hellion. Do you feel as though this is sort of favourable towards INnoVation in general? Let's see what GuMiho can do. Banshee on the way up from Inno. Meanwhile, a Cyclone and Liberator out of GuMiho. Let's see, this Hellion actually comes in towards the main. That means the Reapers must be coming in a moment too. The Hellion going to give itself up to be able to kind of allow the Reapers to hit the mineral line. INnoVation doesn't want to lose too many workers, so he pulls away. The Hellion will come in though, and he will start to get some damage done. Another Hellion actually as well here from GuMiho. Will start adding on some damage, but I kind of like it for INnoVation. He hasn't lost anything, and GuMiho is the one that's losing pretty much every single unit here. INnoVation down 11 workers. He keeps a lot of units up, and well, that's nice. I mean, the Cloak Banshee coming up here as well. He can go across the map with this. Only a Cyclone out for GuMiho to defend. Liberator coming over. What is there to defend the Liberator? A Cyclone on the way? Well, that's something, I guess, right? Liberator coming over. We're going to see what's going to happen. We're going to be seeing the second Banshee on the way out. 3 Hellions on the side, 2 Cyclones on the high ground is kind of a huge deal, right? And he's going to lose one of these. INnoVation's going to leave the game. A much more justifiable leave of the game. This time the Liberator is about to siege up in his main base. He's got 12 workers against 24. His Hellions can't do anything. His Banshee's side of the map. I read Terran player. Down by 2. It's not going to be easy for him. It's INnoVation. His opponent in the bottom right-hand side, representing Storm Gaming, it is GuMiho. Let's see what he can get up to here. as we set up into Game 3 of this best of 5. Again, if you're enjoying the content, if you're enjoying the stream, hit that follow button. See when we're live with more StarCraft 2 action over the next coming weeks. There's going to be so much of it. WCS Challenger coming up, the OSE Masters Cup, $1,000 number 100. It's going to be some great games over the next few months. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys are going to get ready to get tuned into all of that. Reaper and LCV just moving around as we're going to be seeing for the first time here today, really. Both players are going to take the fast expansion, so an expand from both as GuMiho will commit into a second Reaper though, so going into a second Reaper. That's something which INnoVation obviously bypasses here, and we'll just be seeing if that has any sort of side effect for him. Sorry, other way around. INnoVation goes second Reaper. GuMiho looks to play defensive with one Reaper. Apologies. As we do just see again, factory on the way up from both players, setting up, and it will be, for the most part, somewhat mirrored. I mean, again, with INnoVation investing into 2 Reapers, it will take a little while before his reactor comes down, so he's a little bit behind on that regard. And you're going to see Reapers fighting each other. It's a bit RNG, of course, as to who takes that final hit first. It is going to be INnoVation. And now, all of a sudden, GuMiho has absolutely nothing to defend. INnoVation, just like this, has 2 Reapers versus nothing. And what a lead this could put him into right now. Bit of a missed grenade right there. Another grenade comes down. Nice micro so far by GuMiho. Pulls one worker back there. As another SCV comes to the low ground to get that CC going. But look at this. INnoVation's lead already. 20 workers to 17. Looking very good for him. Just like that, the investment into the second Reaper. And GuMiho punished for a little bit of greed, rushing out that reactor. And now INnoVation will play with the 3 worker advantage moving forwards from this. His starport on the way down ahead of GuMiho's as well because of the delay. And this CC, of course, still delayed here as well. Finally, the Helene and 2 Marines can come down and start to contest this. And finally allow the CC to build yet again. So what a startup from INnoVation in Game 3. Comes out of the blocks and just says, right, okay, you've been slowing me down all game. No more. No more, buddy. This is it. We're gonna play now. We're gonna play properly. You see 2 Reapers and the Helene coming in. See that one Helene getting battered backwards there momentarily, and get a little bit of action going down. Ooh, he gets a Helene. He will lose a Reaper here if he doesn't. Well, he'll lose 2 Reapers actually, and that will be that for now. INnoVation has to back away. So that was nice from GuMiho in the end to at least pick up the 2 Reapers, but still disadvantage for him as we see a Viking coming up from INnoVation, so it's looking very good for him considering GuMiho currently building up into a Liberator. Obviously, that's not going to be the best of setups at all. I mean, if you set up a Liberator when there's a Viking going to be popping out, I mean, you're going to have to really get lucky with positioning for the Liberator to really be able to do anything here. And we're seeing the Viking to the left-hand side, just moving around as well. A Raven on the way up also, now out of this starport. So Raven on the way up. I'm just going to be seeing the Tech Lab building this factory. So Tech Lab building the factory. 3 Marines and a Cyclone coming in behind the Natural, and they're just going to sit there for a few more moments. Liberator of GuMiho coming back up to the top side once again. And a few of these Hellions of GuMiho coming through the center of the map. And they're going to be able to pick off that Hellion nice and easily on the watchtower. Still this Liberator GuMiho moving through the top side. And now going to be seeing the Cyclone starting to fight a little bit. And will actually, ooh, not quite get the kill there. I thought he was going to be able to. Doesn't quite. Reacting now, Cyclones. I don't know what GuMiho has got planned overall for this. I mean, maybe a very aggressive attack. Straight up mech, I'm not sure about, but aggressive attack definitely seems to be the way. 2 more gases, but I mean, if you're reacting Cyclones, it does make sense. And Raven as well. I mean, it feels like mech, right? Everything's sort of pointing as though this should be mech. Let's see if it's something he commits to. Stimpack on the way from INnoVation. He's going into 2 extra racks, and now it's 2 extra gas as well. React on the starport to keep him up in terms of medevac production, or maybe even some more Vikings to help him keep on controlling the skies. As GuMiho, 6 workers down, will push across the map here, see what he can do with 4 Hellions, a Liberator, a couple Cyclones, a couple Marines, a Viking to back it up as well. Again, this Liberator so far hasn't really done a lot. 0 kills, just damage taken. It's been pushed away time and time again up until now. As now the units are gathered up, we're going to see the Hellions pushing forwards, the Cyclones too, and we are going to see the Siege Tank. Wow, this tank's just going to do so much. I mean, it will go down, sure, but it's done so much damage before it goes down. This Liberator, though, now going to get in a position to do some, make some use of things. He just target down the Cyclone a little bit, which helps out. Now it's a little bit of an interesting one, but the final Cyclone of GuMiho will go down as well. Messy fight there on either side. GuMiho attacking into a position that wasn't great for him, but at the same time, INnoVation making a couple mistakes, allowing that Liberator to do some damage, letting his Cyclone get picked off more easily than it should have been. A little bit hectic, but INnoVation will still come out heavily in the supply lead. As there we do get the confirmation, 2 more factories and double armory from GuMiho. He sets up in towards this mech playstyle, and that is indeed then going to be the way he plays out the rest of this game. As his third CC is about to finish, he can land in location shortly, as can INnoVation's already morphed into an orbital. Marines and a tank coming out the front. We're going to see that orbital lifting up and going to be dropping down into the third base as well. INnoVation so far ahead on army supply, but the issue with that is the fact that GuMiho playing mech is actually very good for him, because if you're a little bit behind, mech is the style you want to be playing. You know, if there's ever a style that's going to help you survive when your opponent's just got that little bit more army than you, it's the style that builds up a shit ton of siege tanks, you know? Marines, tanks, the Raven continue to move around. Moving forward, you're going to see this Raven taking a little bit of damage. Needs to be careful. Actually, Sims forwards though, and we'll get a Viking. A little bit of a engagement between the two players here. Vikings taking some shots, and we're still going to be seeing the Vikings and a Raven there, looking to see what else is potentially going to happen. I mean, GuMiho will definitely survive. His third CC not able to move out though. They're soft contained by INnoVation. Will just slow him down from taking that to the point where, you know, GuMiho even drops a 4th base very early on. He thinks about dropping in towards on top of this tank, but decides not to. Obviously, doesn't feel as though it's going to be worthwhile. And we're just going to be seeing INnoVation still just out the front. We'll actually back away a little bit now. Obviously, content with what he's already achieved. Doesn't want to overcommit or anything. And just going to keep rallying his own units across the map. Keep the map control, slow down a third base from being taken, and in the larger fights then maybe try and make something happen. It's dangerous because you never want to let a mech player kind of get back in the game, but at the same time, you never want to over-commit yourself in towards the middle of a mech fight, right? You never want to run in towards a defensive mech player and just throw away everything to siege up tanks. It's a tough one to make the call on a lot of the time, as we're going to be seeing Marines do pick up a tank here at the front. It's a nice little something. Vikings getting rid of a medevac. Marines will continue to chase over in this direction. I mean, a couple tanks here will get picked off by order turrets. INnoVation, though, has an army coming up to the right-hand side. If he splits this up a little bit, he should be able to fight a couple of these tanks, and he will start to spread right now. But there's a third tank over here, which will be in range. I mean, he's going to get 2 tanks for mostly just Marines. I think that's okay. If he's trading Marines for tanks, it keeps the, you know, the mech army of GuMiho a little bit smaller, and that's generally what you want to be doing as the bio player. Slowing down the economy of your opponent, slowing down their tank count, and stop them getting that death ball, which is then so difficult to deal with. I actually kind of like Ascension to Aya in terms of playing against mech, because there's a lot of ways to work your way around a mech army once it starts to push. There's lots of counterattack potential and ways to shut down these, you know, some of these competitions. Marines tanks and a couple of medevacs to the right, and just going to try and have a little bit of a look to see what they can potentially do here in the next couple of moments. 1 tank sieges, another tank as well. 3 tank siege actually. And they'll work their way through that missile turret. And Liberator here, and this is the thing with Liberators as well. GuMiho will be able to push back the tank lines of INnoVation. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. Although Marine's actually going to soak a couple of shots there. The priority a bit higher than the tanks. So without target fire, GuMiho can't do too much with that Liberator. Marines will now stim forwards. A couple of them can actually hit this Liberator, and it will go down. Meanwhile, INnoVation to the left-hand side as well, starting to do some good damage. Another tank here just sieging up on the high ground. We're going to see a drop opportunity to the main, but there's turrets up. And again, INnoVation is just going to be able to keep GuMiho pinned back here, keep him in a little bit of a tough spot, and stop him from really being able to do all too much. I mean, again, sure, GuMiho's got 3 bases though, and that's the point where mech will definitely be able to max out once. But will it be, you know, will once be enough? Will INnoVation be able to take those fights later game to stop GuMiho from going any further forward? We're going to see Marines dropping in towards the natural now, finding an opportunity, or just straight in towards the main. They're going to split themselves up a little bit as the Vikings now start going forwards. He's just going to fight what he can, and I still like it, you know. He's doing little bits and pieces of damage. Marines are very expendable for INnoVation. He's up 20 workers. You know, his 4th base is landed. He's ready to make that happen, while GuMiho doesn't even look as though he can get a 4th base in the near future. It's, I like these little trades that we're seeing. These few tanks, though, probably should have backed away. The Liberator are going to start picking up the kills on them now, and so far, INnoVation does not respond, so little things like this will definitely help GuMiho get back in. I mean, 3 tanks is a hell of a lot to lose out on. As we're going to be seeing these units pushing through the center of the map, Marines, Marauders, and tanks. A couple of medevacs overhead, all pushing down to the south side to see what else they can do. INnoVation sets up that planetary to the left-hand side. One thing we've not been able to see GuMiho do so far this game is be running Hellions by and trying to get those past the army of INnoVation and getting those in positions to really harass. But just in case he does find that opportunity, INnoVation has taken precautions. Wall off to the far right, he's got the planetary to the left. It should be enough to keep him safe as INnoVation pulling a lot back right now. Maybe even taunting GuMiho into taking a 4th base, which he can then run in and potentially get a kill on. Hellions picking off a Marine to the far right side. A few more units coming over, and these rocks will start to be targeted down here. Rocks falling, and as we see the free upgrades from INnoVation continue to come on up. Concussive shells are still on the way out, plus 2 vehicle weapons coming up as well. 2 more Vikings, 2 more tanks, an armory as well as a 4th, 5th CC. Still just expanding all over the place. I love the double army playstyle, really stretching GuMiho's tank lines thin, and forward bioplay is so easy to rotate these 2 armies together, meld them up, and then suddenly just attack one location with twice the strength of what GuMiho will have to defend because of the split that he's forced into. For example, if he brings everything towards this base over here right now, what does GuMiho do? 3 tanks will not kill an army from the left and from the top. Maybe he doesn't even kill this army from the left, actually. Well, these tanks out of position as the Liberator falls down. Tanks will siege as well. And this Bioforce just going to start working his way through so many of these Hellions. And I mean, okay, another stim. These tanks are going to start falling. INnoVation making great progress to the right-hand side. He's pushing back Vikings as well. They got rid of the medevac, sure, but this army still stands in a fairly powerful location. And again, to the left, GuMiho is under attack on the 3rd CC. INnoVation will actually unsiege and back away before it becomes a problem with Liberators, etc. But again, it's good trades, and it's just keeping GuMiho busy. It's keeping GuMiho's army supply down. And now, we're going to be seeing the units gathering up together. INnoVation pulling back up towards the upper left. And maybe he goes for just kind of, again, a full frontal attack in the near future. It's getting to that point where it feels as though maxing out, he's going to be able to maybe locate, take one position and really break that position. It won't be easy, but it definitely feels like it's becoming a possibility for INnoVation. Bio army, a lot of tanks in the... Well, I didn't actually look back home at all, but there's so many Vikings up here for INnoVation now as well. He's got 11, 12 against 7, but he has got much worse upgrades for them. He's got actually 0 upgrades for them against +3, +2. So actually the Vikings of GuMiho might still win out the fight, but maybe not if they're... Sorry, he's got just +2. He might be able to win out the fight if he's kind of in the right position, I guess. Lib's going forwards as well now, though, and that's how INnoVation obviously intends to break down these, these positions, basically. Libra is getting some splash damage onto the Vikings of INnoVation. So many siege tanks going down in the process, though. The Viking kind of INnoVation will be worn out, and he actually will lose that fight in the skies. I think the Liberator doing a bit of splash definitely helped. As we see GuMiho cleaning it up, and he will hold this location, but it's still costly for him. It's trades which he can sort of take, but he can't keep taking. And that really is crazy. Marines, Marauders, tanks rotating back in towards the center. Another scan, and these tanks coming in towards the center from GuMiho. And again, that's the thing of INnoVation. He can just keep rotating and keep thinking, okay, well, where will I attack? Will I attack over here now? Will I attack down the center like you seem to think I'm going to just there? Well, which he was going to for a few moments. It definitely looked as though that was his commitment. GuMiho a little bit slow to kind of siege some tanks up back over to this side. Maybe INnoVation can get a good siege here now instead. Both are just going to siege up against each other. Vikings floating forwards. INnoVation will get rid of those Vikings. Not sure what GuMiho was doing with those. A little bit of a mistake from him. INnoVation also with an army heading down the left to try and abuse the lack of defenses in that location as well. A masterfully played game, I have to say, by INnoVation, as GuMiho is just down so heavily in everything. He's just going to start trying to break this position right now. He just can't sit here and do nothing all game, he feels like. And so here we go. Hellbats drop on top. Hellbats are going to get cleaned out, though. This 4 is going to get blown up. INnoVation is just going to keep on pushing through. GuMiho feels as though he just can't do it, and honestly, he really can't. He's not able to break INnoVation in any... Nice, OGaming, give it up. If you're cheering on GuMiho to shut this down, close this series out right here. Bottom left is our blue Terra player. It's INnoVation. And this is indeed a best of 5, guys. Inno has to win this to keep his hopes alive and to give us a game number 5. What's up, Endbirds All XP 123? How you doing? Indeed, best of 5, as I just answered. What's up, mate? Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. GuMiho playing from behind that last game, and the mech really did keep him in it for a long time. Sadly, not long enough. As we head into this 4th game, we'll see if he wants to play mech again. Newkirk is a fantastic map for mech, and I have to recall that series between... Was it INnoVation and Tasia on Newkirk? You know, one of the best games of all time. I think it was INnoVation Tasia, right? Tasia's bio versus INnoVation's mech. It was such an incredible game. Really was everything you expect out of a bio versus mech game. 2 of the very best in the world were really clashing horns that day. If you never watched INnoVation versus Tasia on this map, go back and watch it. It was Game of the Year in 2013 or 2014, whichever year it was. It was at a WCS season final, I think. It was one of the Games of the Year, and I think it was voted Game of the Year by Team Liquid. I mean, nothing really compares to it. Like, you look back and it is one of the greatest games of all time, where they really just... It was everything. Like, you know, Bio vs. Mech is this massive strategical effort throughout the entire game from both the Bio mech player, and the mech player playing beautiful positioning game to stay alive, and the Bio player trying to exploit every kind of piece of mobility he has to break those positions. And it really did come down to the wire. It was crazy. Anyways, let's set up into this and just see what's going to happen. Double gas from INnoVation, aggression from him versus the expansion of GuMiho as we set on up into this. Embidzall says lots of work recently. Oh well, at least you get some time to watch some great Starcraft this evening, and these are great games going on. It's our finals of the OG 6-star Korean edition. I'm kind of sad this tournament's coming to an end already. There's been some fantastic games for the last few days. It's been a lot of fun to cover, and hopefully you guys are feeling the same about it. Hopefully you guys are feeling the same about it. And as we do set up, look to see what will happen as we go into game number 4. Command center on the way up. Just over halfway done right now. The starport building up on this tech lab as well. And we are going to be seeing the factory with a Hellion about to pop out. So yeah, a whole bunch of stuff getting ready to roll. Cloak comes up on this starport as well. Another Banshee is currently just building 2. So Banshee building up, getting ready to roll, and just going to be seeing the, well again, the expansion out of GuMiho so far. Nothing really too spectacular, just building up his factory, and now the starport. Hellion on the way for him to stay safe early. Hellion from INnoVation will poke across. I love that GuMiho went double Reaper this time, just because of what happened last game where he fell behind so heavily from going 1 Reaper while trying to expand. You'll be seeing this Banshee about to pop in a few moments, and that's going to be seeing the factory building up the reactor as well. As that reactor pops out, I wonder what we're actually going to be seeing here. First Banshee starts to move over to the other side of the map, and so far GuMiho... Ooh, GuMiho. You have nothing, buddy. You got a Widow Mine building, you got a couple Marines. Most importantly, though, you don't have any scans. Engineering base starting to come up as GuMiho mistimed this because I don't know what he's got to really defend this Banshee. It feels as though INnoVation is potentially about to do a lot of damage. The Reapers are going to go down over here, at least one of them. Another one just about manages to get away, but here comes the Banshee. It will delay the engineering bay to begin with. There is going to be 1 scan available. Widow Mine comes into position. Well, what do you even scan for? You know, you don't actually have... Oh, he target fired his own SCV with these Marines. Now these Marines are going to go down. GuMiho will just GG because he has nothing. He's going to lose so much to this Banshee before he gets a turret and anything. Really can't. Alright, we should be back from ads then, and that allows us to go into our final StarCraft 2 map of the evening. I'm going to be playing some PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds after this. Some of you guys have been enjoying watching this recently, the last few nights with me. I know some of you obviously will not, but just as a heads up, we will be playing some PUBG for those that are interested after the stream. One Frost cross spawns for our final map, and we do have to the bottom left-hand side from Storm Gaming in the red. Give it up, guys, if you're cheering on GuMiho. And to the upper right is going to be our teal Terran player, INnoVation. And see what happens. Let's see what's going to happen, as Frost will be the one to decide it all. Hopefully you guys are all having a fantastic time with us here today. If you are, I once again remind you to hit that follow button. See when we go live again in the future with more StarCraft 2 content. Live pretty much daily with StarCraft. We won't be live tomorrow, but due to Shoutcraft Kings, we will be live on Monday with the OSC Masters Cup and probably with some Brood War as well. Thank you, Rays for the cheer 5 in the chat. Says, good job casting today, and GG's very much for the cheer 5s, buddy. Every little helps. Don't forget, if you want to cheer in the chat, it's very simple to do so. You can check that out as a way to support. You can also donate if you prefer, or you can subscribe. Again, all great ways to support the channel, me as a streamer, and us, WardiTV in general, moving forwards. Set up into this 5th game then, and just wait to see what's going to be happening over the next few moments. Wait to see how this will be going down. Factory builds up from GuMiho, while INnoVation well, both of them are on single gas. It's because INnoVation is going into a Reaper while GuMiho opts for the Marine, and now he takes the second gas as well. So look knows that GuMiho does want to open with a little bit of aggression here in the early stages. One Marine coming now, just going to poke to the side. SCV will throw down that depot as well. And INnoVation going to throw down this expansion in the next few moments. He is going to just Reaper expand, double Reaper into that sorry, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I getting these players so mixed up? GuMiho is going to end up going double Reaper into the expansion. It's INnoVation who looks to apply pressure with a very fast starport on the tech lab. Fairly similar to the last game. Playing a pretty similar opening. Sorry, for some reason I had the players all messed up in my head. This is the second time that's happened today. Something about INnoVation and GuMiho. I just, I don't know. It's kind of in my head there. That confused me. This happened to me the other day as well in Stats vs Zest. I don't know. I'm just being a bit silly. Sorry, INnoVation then being the aggressor, similar to the last game, while GuMiho will once again, it's actually kind of more or less mirrored build to the last game. A couple of Reapers versus the expansion versus the kind of the fast starport into Cloak Banshee inevitably in the next few moments. They're changing colours. Yeah, I mean it's just me not paying as much notice as I maybe should. Okay, Raven instead of the Cloak Banshee. I don't know how I feel about the Raven. Because the Raven to me has I know not Skyred? Nope, he's seen nothing. The Raven to me is really kind of like, does it get enough damage done when you're playing against a fast CC like this? I don't really think it does. You'll see this Reaper coming in. Grenade goes down, and SCV's all going to be blasted around. One SCV picked off. This Reaper starting to do damage. INnoVation's just scatting around with this Hellion for the first time right now. As we're going to be seeing the Reaper popping out. And that first Raven here in just a few moments as well. What did the Reaper see? I mean, the first Reaper saw the Tech Lab starport, but he actually never saw if Cloak started, even as he comes back in now. So, this is interesting. GuMiho doesn't get the full scout he maybe should want. As we're going to be seeing the factory onto the reactor. INnoVation, is he going to start playing something like mech here? Raven into a Viking across the map from GuMiho. I mean, this is the thing though, like GuMiho's just playing the same sort of play style. Just he doesn't have a Raven, sure, but he's very, very safe, and he's just got that faster CC, and that really does add up. It really does add up. This Raven pops out with the Viking then, and together we'll see what they can get up to. The Hellions, well, what is it going to be on this reactor factory? Probably just Hellions, right? Was he saving up for something special? I mean, he doesn't have that much gas for another Raven on the way out. Interesting. Well, definitely GuMiho, I think, getting ahead early unless we see something like an aggressive push in the near future out of INnoVation. I mean, army supply is what does favour him, but it's so difficult to be aggressive on cross-spawn for us. It just takes you so long to get across the map. And obviously that, therefore, will leave you in an interesting position if you do try to move across to be aggressive. Reaper going to sit back onto the watchtower here. This Hellion moving back towards the upper right. Cyclone just sat on top of the ramp, and two Hellions just set back towards the natural expansion as well, as we're going to be seeing this Raven. He'll be popping in a few moments' time. Viking already popping again. GuMiho just kind of getting towards the sort of same setup as INnoVation is. Because he expanded earlier, he's a bit slower in terms of building up the army, but it's kind of similar. Like, he's getting Raven up, he's got Viking, he has missing Cyclones. INnoVation is indeed going to start moving over here to go for a bit of an attack. What is there defensively for GuMiho? Well, not a lot, and because his Raven has only just popped out, he's really going to be lacking in energy. This is going to be like triple order turret, maybe even a quad order turret soon, against just a singular order turret defensively. I actually feel his natural expansion is very easily broken. Oh, the Viking actually a bit of a hero here, saving that initial, well, saving the Ravens. The Raven does fly in and get picked off. Triple order turret goes down, and it will pick off the siege tank. And now these Cyclones and the Hellion going to continue to do some damage as well. The SCVs will try and escape up the ramp, but Depot's going down, and INnoVation will find some damage with these early units. Damage which will help him to stay in this game. And to catch back up from what was, again, a much later kind of opening for himself. Oh, the Raven! Sorry, the Cyclone gets bounced into the Widowmine right there, and the Widowmine goes off to not kill the Cyclone, but do some good damage. Still picks off the Widowmine, still picks off the Reaper, and now pulling back, we're going to be seeing INnoVation going back towards the upper right-hand side and go from there. Alright, so INnoVation is, well, he's done enough to actually justify what's happening, and now INnoVation, second factory against the bio of GuMiho. I mean, maybe I was just getting the names messed up before because I had my star senses tingling and something told me something was up. This is not a matchup you see very often. The GuMiho bio versus another Terran player's mech? No, that's not the way this usually goes. So INnoVation's going to play the mech right here. Well, if you've seen in the past, he can play some of the very best mech in the world, even if he doesn't do it a lot. And this is one way to really spice things up in Game 5 of this final. Scan comes down, Hellion pops out. Raven just sat here as well. I'm just going to be seeing Hellion's just gathering up on the south side watchtower. 3 racks will be finishing up in total here for GuMiho in the next few moments, and we're all going to be seeing... Well, I mean, both players on 3cc. GuMiho a little bit ahead in economy, but that's expected. The fact that INnoVation is ahead on army supply while playing mech is absolutely terrifying for GuMiho, because the last thing you want to be able to, you want to be as the bio player is the player who can't apply pressure and attack. And that's exactly what being behind in army supply sets you as. We've seen these tanks going to get picked off by the Hellions. Hellions do, well, Hellions getting picked off by the tanks, I should say, every way around. It's been a long day for me, and I think it's starting to show as we see 2 Hellbats come into the main. INnoVation have picked up a couple more workers here. 14 killed throughout the game so far is very good for him. As GuMiho gets his first CC landed a bit after INnoVation, sitting 10 workers ahead and everything. Currently favouring our meching player right now. +1 vehicle weapons on the way up on this armory to the upper right hand side. Another couple of Hellions, another couple of tanks on the way out as well. And what will GuMiho play? How will GuMiho play against this? It's actually kind of fun that this is kind of a reverse to what we saw in Game 3, where GuMiho played mech and INnoVation played bio. Because we saw INnoVation really showing us just the sheer quality of his bio play versus mech. Can GuMiho show us something of a similar standard? Because I feel as though he might need to against someone as good as INnoVation. The one difference between those two games, when you kind of point out kind of mech versus bio though, is that in this game, it's the mech player who's ahead on workers. It's the mech player who's ahead on army. In the third game, it was INnoVation, the bio player, ahead on army and ahead on workers, and obviously that generally seems to sound like, the player on army and worker lead should win. But especially when you're the mech player that's ahead, that's not how it should be. If you want a chance as the bio player, you need to have more eco, you need to be out expanding, and you need to have enough units to apply the pressure to stop the Terran, or the mech player, from setting up into too strong of an army. Now, the fact is cross spawns will definitely help out GuMiho in the sense that he'll have more opportunities to kind of attack around INnoVation's army, to avoid INnoVation's army in general and so on. So that's definitely something which, is definitely kind of a feature here, is definitely a factor. As we see GuMiho picking off the Hellions. Again, nice shutting down of these Hellion run-bys. I mean, having played Mechsoft himself, I'm pretty sure he knows what to be aware of and what to kind of be afraid of, definitely, in these moments. So we see the Vikings and the Raven are moving out. Some more Hellions to the northern side watchtower. But he comes over here with Hellions and the Vikings and fights this drop. I definitely feel he could grab the kill, and I think that's maybe what he was hoping for. The Hellion's going to be a bit slow to get up here. He'll get up here eventually, though, as the Vikings will come in. Can't really lift up into these medevacs against this now. He's going to be seen, okay, well, he'll try to. Obviously, he has the boost initially. But the boost only lasts so long, and that's why he'll drop on the high ground. But still, eventually, those Hellions can end up over there. There's enough Vikings to be very scary to the point where you kind of are going to be in trouble as soon as you do try and lift up. Nice little concave, though. And for now, GuMiho will be safe. There's an army pushing through the center of the map. INnoVation has +2 mech weapons on the way up. It's going to be 1-1 for GuMiho here for a little while. 4th CC from INnoVation building in position again. The mech player out expanding the bio player. That's not how this is meant to look right now. All 5 factories up over here. Medevac's coming out as well to drop those Hellbats on top of the army and to really amplify the damage that this mech army can get going for itself. Also causes the tanks of GuMiho to then friendly fire onto the bio, and it becomes very difficult to deal with. As they're going to be seen, well, Hellbats loading up, so this could be it. You know, both players are coming towards, you know, a meeting point, and this could be the decisive fight of this game and of this entire tournament. This is our grand finals, game 5. The winner of this is our victor. Over $400 to be won by winning this series compared to the $200 they have in the bank, more or less right now. As we see this army coming around the right side. I love the concave. GuMiho has split up from the left and the right. If there's ever a fight he's going to be able to win, it might be this one. Hellbats go over to the right-hand side. Tanks do not siege up from GuMiho, though. PDDs go down from INnoVation to soak up some of the Marauder fire. INnoVation still has a good tank line, though, and that's the issue here for GuMiho, who lifts up some of his units to get out of this. Lovely PDDs as well from GuMiho. PDDs work in different jobs on either side of that fight. For INnoVation, it absorbed the Marauder fire. For GuMiho, it absorbed the Viking fire to keep some of his medevacs alive to make that escape. Now we see a stim and a siege line here out of GuMiho. INnoVation sieges up himself, and he will start to fight this. The Vikings in the sky picking off the medevacs. Are these tanks okay? I don't know if they are. The Vikings are going down. INnoVation has lost a lot, but man, those siege tanks are just so powerful, and they will clean up on the ground. Okay, GuMiho still has some tanks left of his own. And okay, INnoVation just lost the air control. But he still holds the leads in army. He still holds the leads in workers. And it looks as though, as tanks fire once again, it's still looking pretty okay for INnoVation. With Hellbats coming through as well, these tanks are not in danger of being kind of dropped upon so much. A couple more will come down. Actually, we'll get rid of 2 of these tanks. A nice trade out there. 1 tank from INnoVation also going down by just stretching out too far forwards. Now Marauder drop over towards the 4th base. We'll sit behind this mineral line. Will force a response. Nice lift up into the medevac. We need more Vikings here as well. The Mulehammer gets dropped. INnoVation is going to have a huge surge of income in the next few moments as he still gathers together to the left-hand side. What does GuMiho do about it? Still playing around with these few Marauders to try and find a way back into the game. Continue to just pump out Hellbats, tanks, Vikings, everything he needs to secure this. He scans again. INnoVation, what's the plan? He will just pull back a little bit. Maybe reposition. He can't push into these tanks, it seems. GuMiho never got the chance to build a 4th CC. Just lifts his main base orbital up and comes to drop it down over here. 30 supply down. This is a series where GuMiho is up 2-0 and fairly convincing victories in Game 1 and in Game 2. And has fallen away from him so quickly over the last few games. INnoVation really kind of bringing everything right now, as going to be seen. Still Hellbats back in the medevacs again. This is very much so looking like the first fight we saw in this game. The first major fight. And, well, INnoVation set up with everything he wants, so how does he approach it? Still a few more Vikings coming out here. Marine count is very low because obviously you don't want too many Marines mixed in, but a few will be nice to get rid of the Vikings in the sky. Mostly want Marauders just for that bonus damage they will do against the tanks, and just the fact that they're a little bit beefier than the Marines. They'll survive an extra shot every now and then. Well, that's loading up again, and INnoVation is on the move. He's on the prowl to maybe make something happen here. He is going to find GuMiho a little bit unsieged, and is this the moment? Is this the opportunity? It seems as though it will be. Hellbats dropping in the front. The tanks are dropping very quickly, and INnoVation's tank line is going to be undisturbed. Unsieges a lot of it because he knows how much he's got to play with. Hellbats are back in the medevacs once again. +3, +0 on these siege tanks against 2-1 bio units. These tanks are so deadly, and INnoVation is just leapfrogging forwards. GuMiho pulling further and further back to try and stay alive. But what can he really hope for? He's only got 2 tanks to really hold the line. He's got a Liberator to deal with as well, and that's not going to help him. In fact, this Liberator will get the kill on this siege tank right there. And now there's only 1 tank. It's a big spread of bio, but will that be enough? The Vikings will be picking off medivacs, so a lot of this bio isn't able to heal up even. SCVs will absorb some of this fire as here we go. The Hellbat's dropping on top of the bio, buying time for the tanks to do what they need to do. And INnoVation is crushing his way through this army. He's going to win game number 5. There's nothing to stop him anymore, and it's GG. INnoVation from the 0-2 deficit to win the series 3 games to